Service conductors are the conductors that extend from the service point, typically the connection to the utilities distribution system, to the service disconnecting means. This disconnecting means is often located at the meter kern or in a service panel. To clarify, service conductors are not the conductors that run from the disconnect to the lighting panel. Those are feeder conductors or branch circuits. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, defines service conductors and provides specific requirements for their installation, sizing, and protection. Understanding these requirements is essential for ensuring safe and compliant electrical installations. The service conductors can originate from an overhead service drop or an underground service lateral. A service drop consists of the overhead conductors from the utility pole or other aerial supply to the service point at the building or structure. A service lateral consists of the underground conductors from the utilities underground distribution system to the service point. The service point is the point of connection between the serving utility and the premises wiring. This is often at the property line or at a readily accessible location outside the building. From the service point, the service conductors extend to the service equipment, which includes the main service disconnect, overcurrent protection, and other devices intended to provide a means of cutting off all electrical power to the building. The service disconnecting means is required to be readily accessible and located at a convenient location near the point of entry of the service conductors. This allows for quick and easy de-energization of the entire electrical system in case of an emergency. The size of the service conductors is determined by the calculated load of the building or structure in accordance with the NEC. The load calculation takes into account the anticipated demand for electricity, including lighting, appliances, heating, and air conditioning. The service conductors must be sized large enough to carry the calculated load without overheating or causing excessive voltage drop. The NEC provides tables and guidelines for determining the appropriate conductor size based on the ampacity required for the calculated load. Ampacity refers to the current carrying capacity of a conductor expressed in amps. The ampacity of a conductor depends on several factors, including the conductor material, size, insulation type, and installation conditions. Service conductors must be protected against overcurrent by fuses or circuit breakers. The overcurrent protection device must be sized to protect the conductors from overload and short-circuit conditions. The NEC specifies the maximum allowable overcurrent protection for different conductor sizes and types. The installation of service conductors must comply with all applicable requirements of the NEC and local codes. This includes proper clearances from buildings, structures, and other objects, as well as proper support and protection from physical damage. Service conductors must be installed in a neat and workmanlike manner, and all connections must be made properly and securely. When working with service conductors, it is essential to follow all safety precautions to prevent electrical shock and other hazards. Always de-energize the service conductors before working on them, and use appropriate personal protective equipment such as insulated gloves and eye protection. If you are not qualified to work on electrical systems, consult a licensed electrician. In summary, service conductors are the conductors that connect the utilities power source to the service disconnecting means at a building or structure. They are an essential part of the electrical system and must be installed and maintained in accordance with the NEC and local codes. Understanding the definition, sizing, protection, and installation requirements for service conductors is crucial for ensuring safe and reliable electrical service. Here's a more detailed breakdown of key aspects. Firstly, the definition. Service conductors, as previously stated, are the wires or cables that run from the utilities electrical distribution system to the service equipment of a building. This equipment typically includes the main disconnect switch or circuit breaker, the meter, and the grounding system. The NEC defines and regulates these conductors extensively. Secondly, the location of the service point. The service point is the demarcation between the utility's responsibility and the building owner's responsibility. It is the point where the utility service drop or lateral connects to the building service entrance conductors. This point is crucial because all regulations and responsibilities stem from this location. Thirdly, Service drop versus service lateral. A service drop refers to overhead conductors running from a utility pole to a building. The connection point on the building is usually at the weatherhead, a protected entry point for the conductors. A service lateral, in contrast, involves underground conductors running from an underground utility system to the building. These conductors typically terminate in a meter box or a service disconnect located outside or inside the building. Fourthly, conductor types and sizes. Service conductors must be of adequate size to handle the anticipated electrical load of the building. The size is determined by calculating the total load, including lighting, appliances, heating, air conditioning, and any other electrical equipment. Copper and aluminum are the most common materials. The NEC provides tables that specify the allowable ampacity of different conductor sizes based on their material and insulation type, such as Table 310.16. Fifthly, insulation requirements. The insulation of service conductors must be suitable for the environmental conditions and voltage levels. Common insulation types include THHN, THHW, and XHHW. The NEC specifies the acceptable insulation types for different applications, considering factors like moisture, temperature, and exposure to sunlight. Sixthly, overcurrent protection. Service conductors must be protected against overcurrent conditions such as short circuits and overloads. This protection is typically provided by a main circuit breaker or fuses located at the service disconnect. The overcurrent protection device must be sized appropriately to protect the conductors based on their ampacity. NEC Section 240.4 outlines the requirements for overcurrent protection of conductors. Seventhly, grounding and bonding. Proper grounding and bonding are crucial for electrical safety. The service conductors must be grounded to a grounded electrode system, which may include ground rods, ground rings, or metal underground water pipes. Bonding ensures that all metallic parts of the electrical system are connected to create a low impedance path for fault currents, facilitating the operation of overcurrent protection devices. NEC Article 250 provides detailed requirements for grounding and bonding. Eighthly, service entrance equipment. The service entrance equipment includes the main disconnect, meter socket, and any associated enclosures. The main disconnect is a switch or circuit breaker that allows the entire electrical service to be shut off. It must be readily accessible to the building occupants and emergency responders. The meter socket houses the electric meter, which measures the amount of electricity consumed by the building. Ninthly, installation requirements. The NEC specifies numerous installation requirements for service conductors, including clearances from buildings, minimum burial depths for underground conductors, and proper support and protection for exposed conductors. These requirements are designed to ensure the safety and reliability of the electrical system. Tenthly, inspection and compliance. Electrical installations, including service conductors, must be inspected by qualified electrical inspectors to ensure compliance with the NEC and local codes. Inspections help identify potential hazards and ensure that the installation meets the required safety standards. 11thly, voltage drop. Voltage drop is the decrease in voltage along a conductor due to its impedance and the current flowing through it. Excessive voltage drop can cause equipment to malfunction and can reduce the efficiency of the electrical system. The NEC recommends limiting voltage drop in branch circuits and feeders to ensure proper performance of electrical equipment. 12thly, derating and adjustment factors. The ampacity of service conductors may need to be derated or adjusted based on factors such as ambient temperature, the number of conductors in a raceway, and the presence of harmonics. The NEC provides tables and guidelines for applying derating and adjustment factors to ensure that conductors are not overloaded. 13thly, neutral conductor sizing. The neutral conductor and a service entrance must be sized appropriately to carry the maximum balance load. In many cases, the neutral conductor can be smaller than the phase conductors, but it must still be large enough to handle the expected neutral current. The NEC provides specific rules for sizing the neutral conductor based on the type of load and the presence of nonlinear load. 14thly, raceways and conduits. Service conductors are often installed in raceways or conduits to provide physical protection and support. Common types of raceways include electrical metallic tubing, or IMD, rigid metal conduit, or RMC, and rigid polyvinyl chloride conduit, or PVC. The NEC specifies the types of raceways that are permitted for different applications and provides rules for their installation. 15thly, conductor identification. Service conductors must be properly identified to indicate their function and voltage level. Phase conductors are typically identified by color coding, such as black, red, and blue. The neutral conductor is typically identified by white or gray insulation. The grounding conductor is typically identified by green insulation or bare copper. 16thly, bonding jumpers. Bonding jumpers are used to connect metallic parts of the electrical system to the grounding system. These jumpers ensure that all metallic parts are at the same electrical potential, reducing the risk of electric shock. The NEC specifies the size and installation requirements for bonding jumpers. 17thly, surge protection. Surge protection devices, or SPDs, are used to protect electrical equipment from voltage surges caused by lightning, switching events, and other disturbances. SPD should be installed at the service entrance to protect the entire electrical system. The NEC provides requirements for the selection and installation of SPD. 18thly, arc fault circuit interrupters, or FSIs, are designed to detect arc faults, which are a common cause of electrical fires. The NEC requires FSIs to be installed in certain circuits to provide enhanced protection against arc faults. While primarily used in branch circuits, understanding their function is crucial for overall electrical safety. 19thly, ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, are designed to protect people from electric shock by detecting ground faults. The NEC requires GFCIs to be installed in certain locations, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas, where there is a high risk of electric shock. While not directly part of the service conductors, their integration at or near the service panel is vital for safety. 20thly, working space and access. The NEC requires adequate working space around electrical equipment, including service equipment, to allow for safe operation and maintenance. The working space must be clear of obstructions and must provide sufficient headroom and width. The equipment must also be readily accessible for inspection and repair. 21st, labeling. All electrical equipment, including service equipment, must be properly labeled to identify its function and voltage level. Labels should be durable and legible and should be placed in a conspicuous location. Proper labeling helps prevent confusion and ensures that the equipment is operated and maintained safely. 22nd, load calculations. Performing accurate load calculations is essential for sizing service conductors and service equipment. The NEC provides detailed methods for calculating the load of a building, including demand factors and diversity factors that account for the fact that not all electrical equipment will be operating at the same time. 23rd, coordination studies. In larger electrical systems, coordination studies are performed to ensure that overcurrent protection devices are properly coordinated to minimize service interruptions. A coordination study involves analyzing the time current characteristics of all overcurrent protection devices to ensure that the device closest to the fault will trip first, limiting the extent of the outage. 24th, maintenance. Regular maintenance of service equipment is essential for ensuring its continued reliability and safety. Maintenance activities may include inspecting and testing overcurrent protection devices, tightening connections, cleaning equipment, and replacing worn or damaged parts. 25th, documentation. Maintaining accurate documentation of the electrical system, including service conductors and service equipment, is essential for troubleshooting and future modifications. Documentation should include wiring diagrams, load calculations, equipment specifications, and inspection reports. 26. Emergency procedures. Building owners and occupants should be familiar with emergency procedures for dealing with electrical problems, such as power outages, electrical fires, and electric shocks. Emergency procedures should include instructions for shutting off power, calling for help, and providing first aid. 27th, professional assistance. Electrical work, including work on service conductors and service equipment, should be performed by qualified electrical professionals who are licensed and insured. Working with electricity can be dangerous, and it is important to hire someone who has the knowledge, skills, and experience to do the job safely and correctly. 28th. Arc flash hazards. Arc flash is a dangerous phenomenon that can occur when there is a short circuit or ground fault in electrical equipment. Arc flash can cause severe burns, injuries, and even death. Electrical workers should be aware of arc flash hazards and should take appropriate precautions, such as wearing personal protective equipment and using arc flash rated tools. 29th. Single line diagrams. A single line diagram is a simplified representation of an electrical system that shows the major components and their interconnections. Single line diagrams are used for system planning, analysis, and troubleshooting. 30th. Power quality. Power quality refers to the characteristics of the electrical power supply, including voltage stability, frequency stability, and harmonic distortion. Poor power quality can cause equipment to malfunction and can reduce the efficiency of the electrical system. Service conductors play a role in delivering good power quality from the utility to the customer's equipment. 31st. Electrical safety audits. Electrical safety audits are conducted to identify potential hazards and ensure compliance with electrical safety regulations. Audits may include visual inspections, testing, and documentation review. 32nd. Thermographic surveys. Thermographic surveys use infrared cameras to detect hotspots in electrical equipment. Hotspots can indicate loose connections, overloaded conductors, or other problems that can lead to equipment failure. 33rd. Energy efficiency. Energy efficient electrical systems can save money on electricity bills and reduce environmental impact. Service conductors that are properly sized and installed can help improve energy efficiency by minimizing voltage drop and reducing losses. 34th. Renewable energy sources. Renewable energy sources, such as solar panels and wind turbines, are becoming increasingly popular. Service conductors are used to connect these renewable energy sources to the electrical grid. 35th. Electric vehicle charging. Electric vehicles, or EVs, are becoming more common. Service conductors are used to supply power to EV charging stations. The increasing adoption of EV is placing new demands on electrical systems. 36. Smart grid technologies. Smart grid technologies are used to improve the reliability, efficiency, and security of the electrical grid. Service conductors are part of the smart grid infrastructure. 37th. Electrical codes and standards. Electrical codes and standards are developed by organizations such as the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, and the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, or IEE. These codes and standards provide guidelines for the safe and reliable design, installation, and operation of electrical systems. 38th. Continuing education. Electrical professionals should participate in continuing education to stay up to date on the latest codes, standards, and technologies. Continuing education can help electrical professionals improve their skills and knowledge and can enhance their career prospects. 39th. Safety culture. A strong safety culture is essential for preventing electrical accidents. A safety culture promotes awareness of electrical hazards and encourages safe work practices. 40. Risk assessment. Risk assessment is the process of identifying and evaluating potential hazards and taking steps to mitigate those hazards. Risk assessment should be performed before any electrical work is undertaken.